Welcome to the Blooming League of Original Podcast.
Bonjour, welcome back to Around the World at 80 Plays. I'm Alfie Parker and that's
Lizzie B.
Yes, and we're joined as always by the Employee of the Month, Dolly the dog.
Woof woof.
Woof, 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 woof. This week, I've leapt over to Leicester for the 10th stop of the Sister Act UK and Ireland tour, while Lizzie can now be found back in London at the Dominion Theatre for Sister Act, the musical's heavenly return to the West End stage. If this is your first time joining us, we're exploring the UK and Ireland's wonderful arts history and culture as we make our way from city to city with Sister Act the musical, or so says this script, that I butcher all the time, every week. So, how's this week been for you then, Lizzie? Weird?
It is weird, like being apart from you now, but it's not long till I'm back. I have actually seen you, spoiler alert, which we'll talk about later. But yeah, I'm just plodding along. I'm working in Superdrug, which is what I always do when I'm not acting, and having a lovely time. So I'm just kind of doing my normal non-acting life.
Great. Any huge announcements? Apart from Superdrug, which is big news.
It's really big news.
For a start, I think we should say this is weird because normally we're sat next to each other doing this. So this is quite strange. Maybe that's huge news.
Also strange that you've even got a laptop which you're able to record it on.
Now that is huge news. I got this laptop recommended to me through Charlie, for our listeners there, which is Sherry's future husband. Sherry's in the show with me. He loves a laptop. There you go. Just thought I'd let you know. So, how's Dolly been settling in?
She's been fine. It hasn't been that much of a change, really, because Dolly is now staying at home with me. So she's not having to be on tour. That makes it sound like it was a right chore for her to be on tour. She loved it. We just kind of decided that if she didn't need to be touring, then she wouldn't be touring. So until I start back at Sister Act, she's just at home with me. And I'm really lucky that the way my shifts are scheduled at Superdrug, she just stays at home, I go to work, and then I spend the rest of my time with her. So she's all good. I think she's happy to be at home and have all her creature comforts at home, but she does miss Daddy.
Oh, well, I'm glad. Here they are. Not that our listeners can see. I have my cushions. I have a cushion of Dolly and Lizzie as an elf, which I'm sure we can take a picture of, chuck it on the socials. It's surrounded by pictures of theatres. But yes, well, that's good. I'm glad. It's nice that you've got a bit of normality again. That's always good.
What about you? What's new in your life, Al?
So much. It's been nice to have that break. And yeah, now I'm back and it's almost like I haven't been anywhere. Leicester is an interesting place.
Yes, it is.
I will talk about that later in a lovely segment. I should say Leicester is in Leicestershire, in East Midlands of England. For our listeners who don't know, that's, I guess, north of London, maybe slap bang in the middle of the country, I think, in a funny way, even though it says East Midlands. I'm pretty sure it's near enough slap bang in the middle of the country.
Yeah.
We'll check the map, won't we?
I'm obsessed with the Leicester accent. So one of my best friends, MJ Caldwell, if you're listening, is from Leicester. And the way she says the word lunch is like my number one obsession, because she literally goes lunch.
Lunch.
Have some lunch. And I just think it's glorious. It's a glorious accent.
It is good, to be fair, it is good. And I will talk about lunch later.
Lunch.
I'll talk about that later when I talk about the theatre, because, spoiler alert, the food front of house is magnificent.
Correct.
Maybe a highlight of the venue, potentially. Is that good?
Well, because your life revolves around food.
Absolutely. You've seen my tattoo.
Have the listeners?
I'll tell you what, it's going to be loads of pictures. I will put a picture of my wrist on the socials as well.
Oh, I've got a phobia.
Lizzie's got a thing about wrists. Yeah, she doesn't like them.
Oh, make me feel physically sick. How you have tattoos on there, I actually don't know. I'd pass out in the chair.
No, it's fine. I've got tattoos on both my wrists, really.
Oh, makes me feel...
Well, let's talk about the tour, shall we? It's all about me.
Yeah, it is all about you, because you're not on it anymore.
Because you're bored and you ditched us.
I'm allowed back in the West End, unlike you.
I was in the West End 7 years ago, or potentially 8, I can't remember.
Yeah.
Moving on to the tour now, aka me. I've been in Leicester, I've been at Leicester Curve, and that's lovely. Now, normally,
That was so insincere.
No, it is lovely. That is great. I'm genuinely so happy to be back.
Alfie, everything you say sounds sarcastic.
No, I am happy with all my friends and colleagues. When
Yeah,
we
there's two different categories.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, normally the structure is slightly different here. I'm going to talk about the venue because I'm the one touring now. For all of our listeners, Lizzie used to be in charge of the venue. She used to be really good and give it lots of kind of history lesson vibes. I'm now in charge of that segment, so it's gone downhill. But here we go.
And it will just all be about the cafe.
There's going to be a fair whack about the cafe. Now, this is what I've got. Alfie's venue feature. Construction began in 2006.
This is very formal.
Construction began in 2006 and the building was officially opened in 2008 by Her Majesty the Queen.
Blimey, Queenie, slay.
Absolutely. It was designed by Raphael Vinoli.
Oh, of course. I thought it was a Vinoli.
The moment I walked in, I thought, here we go. This is a Vinoli. Now, the source for this next bit is the Curve website, so it's got to be true.
Oh, so it's legit.
Legit. Unlike any other theatre in the UK, we have no traditional backstage area. I'll talk about this later. Audiences can enjoy the full theatre-making process, peek behind the scenes, and maybe even spot an actor or two dashing from the stage to their dressing room or enjoying a coffee in our cafe. More to come. Our curved facade is made from 1,192 tonnes of steel and 46,000 metres squared of glass. And the capacity of the theatre is 1,300, which actually I thought it was a lot more. I didn't realise. It looks so much bigger. The building is huge. Now, to kind of dive a bit more into that, it's such a new theatre, there isn't really a huge amount of history about it. But basically, how it's designed is that every night when the show finishes, the walls of the actual stage area lift up off the floor, and the audience, as they're leaving, can see backstage and can see Wardrobe Village, which is what we call it, which is where you get dressed.
It's literally Marmite. Like, some people love it and some people absolutely hate it. We toured there on the first leg of Sister Act as well. So I was there, I think, at like the beginning of last year. And I'd never been there before. It's somewhere I've always wanted to work because I think the theatre actually does incredible work. It does a lot of incredible in-house work. It's all led by a director called Nikolai Foster, who I personally love his work and think he's a brilliant practitioner. And it's just completely different concept for the way a theatre works. And when we were there, everyone was being so negative about it, being like, oh God, I don't want that to happen. Like, it's really intrusive, blah, blah, blah. And then Eden, who was formerly working on the show as our head of wardrobe, Eden, we love you, is from Leicester. And she spoke to us all and she was like, I know that it's really different, but growing up in Leicester and coming to watch shows there and being able to see how it all worked is literally the reason that I work in costume and theatre now, because it was accessible to me, because it's just a part of the process that you would never otherwise see. And I get it. I do get it. But personally, I like to kind of like leave what I've done on the stage and then get back to my dressing room and like work's done and you go. So I did always find the bit where like you come out of the stage and then you're walking to the lift to get to the dressing room and all of the audience is chatting to you and you're like in your dressing gown was slightly odd for me. What's going on? Why have we got Kevin and Perry in bed lying down recording?
I made an enjoy. I've got nowhere to sit in the digs, so I've had to kind of lounge. It's a bit like camping. So, but I had to move then because it was quiet. I totally agree. It's not for me. I totally get it from Eden's perspective, because if you are interested in theatre, that's really cool to see all that, to see that and kind of shine a spotlight on some departments that you wouldn't normally see. Absolutely. The only way to get to the dressing rooms is a lift or some stairs on the opposite side of the building and basically through the public walkway. So you are always going to bump into people who have just seen the show. And I personally don't mind that. I like having a chat with people. That's fine.
Social anxiety. It's just not for me. It's not for me at all. Like I've never been good at it. Like I'm not great at stage door. I just am not very good at talking to strangers. So for me, it's kind of like the worst possible experience.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. I've been so excited to be here and to reopen on the tour and to go to somewhere like Curve because it is such a name. that people have heard of in our kind of industry. The stage is big, backstage was big, the design it kind of works, but for me the acoustics were a bit odd this week. They've been a bit strange. There was a lot of kind of vocal fatigue, but then maybe that's because we've just had a big break. I'm not sure. But once the sound is kind of locked in and stuff, it was kind of like booming. I think overall, I'm so glad I've done it, but I wouldn't rush back because of the walls and the audience. Do you know what I mean? It's a funny one, but the work they do is...
It's still somewhere that I would absolutely be desperate to work because I love the work that gets done there. So it's like not bad enough that I'd be like, oh, I couldn't work there because of all of that. And like we've experienced it now and we know it's just a bit of a shock because it's so unconventional.
Yeah, and like you say, because I think the phrase is made at Curve and the work that goes through there and the people that they get working there are pretty awesome. It's a pretty, if Nikolai phoned me and said, Alf, do you want to be in this? Yeah, absolutely. Because how cool is that? It's a cool venue. It's just very different and potentially ahead of its time, to be fair. Maybe that is the future of theatres. It was only built a few years ago. So very cool. And if you check our social medias, you'll find exclusive photographs of many of the theatres we visit, courtesy of Rocky Horror Show legend Christian Lavacone. He's actually now finished touring as Riff Raff, clocking over 90,210 performances worldwide. Is that a joke? Please tell me that's a joke. Surely that's a joke.
It's a joke. Aaron's told you so many times that he just writes a random...
No, I know, but I mean, the thing is, though, he has done it a lot. 90,000 of them. Maybe if he was on Joseph's, Ken Wright's Joseph schedule.
3 shows a day, probably would have
Free
clocked
show.
that.
But before we get onto this week's tour feature and what Dolly got up to this week, we're going to go to a short ad break.
And we're back with Thrush and Treasure. I'm Aaron, that's Mr. J-Wags, and we're joined by former inmate of Larkhill Prison, Nicole Faraday.
Hello.
What's one thing you fail at that everybody else seems to do perfectly well?
Just actually general normal things that people find really easy, I find really difficult. Like, just I'm really quite clumsy, and I don't know, like, I'm trying to think of a good example. Like if I'm carrying stuff out to the car, I'll be like, I need help opening that door, or oh no, I've just dropped everything on the road, or oh no, I've forgotten this or I've forgotten that. I'm a bit chaotic as a person. Like when I'm on stage, it's great because I'm like playing a character, but as a person, I'm quite kind of clumsy and chaotic, and like I'll start doing something and then I'll go, oh, they used to call me Nikki, oh, there's a butterfly Faraday, because it's like, oh, I'm always like, oh yes. No, something sparkly, and like my mind's, I suppose these days probably I'd get diagnosed with ADHD, I don't know, but I just like doing, I'm always, my mind's always on lots of different things, and I find it hard to kind of maintain normality.
Yep. Now we have a fan question sent in to us this week. Any advice for tap dancing, especially those who struggle with their arms?
Who sent that?
That was Anonymous.
Oh my goodness me. Well, I don't know who you've been speaking to. I can only assume my best friend Diane Pilkington, who's in serious trouble. There was a running joke when we were at drama school about the fact that because I've never been very graceful, and I'm also quite lazy, and I don't like keeping fit. But tap dancing is all about the music and the rhythm. So tap dancing was like the only dancing I really enjoyed doing at drama school.
All husky today.
Yeah, what is up with your voice?
I don't know.
It's quite sexy, actually.
Thanks. And we're back with Around the World in 80 Plays. I'm Alfie Parker, and this is
Lizzie B.
Whoa! And this week, we've passed go and headed straight to Leicester. So, let's have a little chinwag about the differences with re-rehearsing a show when we're in town and when we're on tour, shall we?
Yes, let's.
Yeah, let's do it. I think they're pretty similar.
I don't know we haven't started back for rehearsals yet. So this is me kind of like spitballing. But I do think ours is going to be quite different, because I do think our London production is being viewed as like a completely new thing.
Yeah, I think when it comes to our tour, it's a touring production. We already know now what works and what doesn't, what fits and what doesn't, and that you have to stick to a certain kind of guide when it comes to theatres because the show has to be so versatile to fit into lots of different buildings. You can't have an 8-week break and then change the whole thing, especially when a lot of the cast are exactly the same. There's still quite a large percentage of us that have already done the show. We've got some new people.
You've had a very special person come in for your rehearsals, haven't you?
We have Ruth Jones. You may have heard of her. She did Gavin and Stacey. I am going to be a fanboy. I am going to say that she said I had a great voice. I might have to put that on my headstone when I pass away. Ruth Jones said that I had a good voice, by the way.
Very excited to meet her properly.
She is an absolute legend. And in a way, I'm kind of quite sad that we only get her for a little bit. She's only doing the tour when we're in Dublin. And then she's joining you guys for half the contracts in London, I think.
Half a contract, yeah.
So I'm very jealous. She's amazing. And from the bits I saw in rehearsals, she's going to be great. She's going to be awesome. And she should definitely do more musicals because wasted talent doing all that TV stuff. You know, you should come and tap dance with us. A lot of our production is the exact same, to be honest. To go back to tour, it's pretty much the exact same. A bit painty by numbers. With new people, the script kind of changes. So like Ruth's got a couple of ideas with new things, new takes, new intentions. And we just roll with it, and it's great.
I think that's really nice. It's how it should be. Like, yes, we do the same show every night, but it doesn't mean you literally have to be a robot and do everything exactly the same. And like, you've been doing the show for a fair while now, and actually having a different energy and someone maybe changing your intentions because their intention has change is exciting as an actor, I think.
Absolutely. Like the only time I've really had a thought is there's this moment in the show that actually something in rehearsals that I've changed recently is I meant to like slip off a chair and I was like, I've never liked this. It just doesn't feel right. And I guess the process of that is I went and spoke to Vicky and Will, who are the associate and the resident director, and said, can I like try new things for this little gag? I'll just try different jokes and keep trying them until one lands and it works. And then I'd show them all kind of after we do runs and stuff like that. And then once you land on something and you get that approval, they're like, well, if it works for you, then great. I think it's quite a nice room to be in that respect. It's very much like, what do you think as a performer works for your character? Which is it's a very nice process. That's something very new to me, really. A lot of shows, I think, are very much like.
I think both of us have both done big productions where it's been stand on 3 and say the word exactly how they said it in 2004.
Yeah, absolutely. So this has been very, very creative in that respect, and more creative this time around, having Ruth in the building and wanting to put her Welsh spin on it, which is awesome and really does work.
And what Alfie's also failed to mention is that he's had to make changes to his blocking because he sprained his ankle on the way to Leicester.
Oh yeah, I didn't say that bit, yeah. But yes, I did a partial rupture on my left ankle.
How did you do it, Al?
Let me explain. Really cool, actually. I was fighting off a gang of muggers.
You weren't, were you? You were getting into the taxi outside our flat.
I fell down the curb.
The Leicester Curve.
From the Brighton Curve to the Leicester Curve. Yes, I fell down. I've been standing on boxes rather than standing on the desk because I can't physically get up there. And I've been taking the lift a lot. I've got a lift pass during the show.
Bless him.
Bless me. So yes, maybe we can dive a bit more into your London process when you start rehearsals.
I'm really excited about revisiting it with new people and also revisiting it for myself. Like, I am definitely one of those people who likes consistency. I feel more comfortable when I do things, maybe not in exactly the same way, but in a consistent way, because that works much better for me. But, you know, everything I do when I interact with Mother Superior will now change because it's going to be a different actor. Everything I do with Dolores will change because I'm sure Beverly Knight is going to come back and not want to do it exactly how she did it 2 years ago. And like, that is something that's really exciting for me. And I've also had a conversation with Neil, our musical director, about having a session on my song because I don't want to just come back and do it exactly how I did it. Like, yes, I like consistency once we're in a run, but I also like to find new things and new intentions and build a rapport with other people and stuff. So I'm really excited.
Much more concise than me. This is why you're a much better host of the podcast.
I'm just much better in general, to be honest. But
right, moving on. Shall we talk about what Dolly did?
Yes, we can.
Do a little song, do a nice big intro or something, you know?
And now it's time for everybody's favourite segment. What did Dolly do?
That's good, actually. That was good.
Thank you very much. Not just a pretty face.
No.
Well, in general, Dolly has been sleeping at home because, like I said, I have been at Superdrug, and I would actually like to give a massive shout out to Superdrug. They are mine and Alfie's absolute saviours when we are not acting. They always have us back. Our amazing manager, Helen, will always find some work for us. And so I'm still there till the end of this week, and then I'm done, which is actually sad because I actually love working at Superdrug. Helen's been incredibly understanding with, me only being able to do shorter shifts so that we don't have to pay for Dolly to go to dog care and all of that stuff. So it's been really nice because I've had work. Sorry, Alf, am I keeping you up? I swear to God, I don't know why I bother. He's literally lying in bed in his digs, yawning.
No. I wasn't yawning. I was doing that. I was doing like an interested face.
You're a liar.
I am a liar. I did yawn. I'm tired because I've just had all that time off. Now I'm back on the show. So it's
Anyway, yeah, Dolly's had a nice relaxing time, but we did make a quick trip to Leicester, didn't we, Alfie?
Yeah, we did. Spoiler alert. Didn't tell you that. We didn't really hint either.
Me and Dolly traipsed up to Leicester to go and spend a couple of days with Daddy, and it was lovely and was really, really nice to be able to spend some time, the three of us. Alfie hasn't actually spoken about his digs in Leicester, but they are really nice. He's in a self-contained house with our friend Amber. Obviously, Alfie has still booked everything dog-friendly so that if Dolly can come and visit, it's all fine. So yeah, we came to the digs, and then Dolly was showing Daddy her new toy, which is a twerking lobster that Daddy bought her.
I love that lobster. The baby.
Yeah, we call it her baby because she literally is like obsessed with it.
She just picks it up and like takes it to bed and stuff. It's cute.
So yeah, she was showing Daddy her new toy. Then we took her to the theatre because I watched the show, and
How was it?
I loved it.
Who was the best police officer?
I quite liked the guy who came on at the end and arrested Curtis.
Joseph.
Yeah, Joseph.
Yeah, he is great in it.
The main one was limping all around the stage. It was really weird.
But he is good looking. I think it makes up for it.
He looks quite sweaty as well.
He looks steady.
Sweaty. But yeah, we took Dolly to work. So Dolly hung out in Auntie Laurie's dressing room.
Oh yes, I should have really said. So Laurie is being our mother superior. Laurie was on the tour before. She's now like a superstar coming to save us when we don't have a mother superior for the first couple of weeks, and here, there, and everywhere before they start rehearsals in London and start putting the show up.
Laurie is brilliant at it. Like, it was so nice to be able to watch it from out front because obviously I've been on stage with her doing it, but getting to kind of actually sit and just watch her performance as a whole was brilliant. And I was a very proud friend because Laurie's one of mine and Alfie's absolute fave human beings. So it was really lovely. So yeah, we hung out at work and then we went for a drink in the lovely pub across from the theatre. And obviously Dolly came to all of this. We don't go anywhere without her. So that was really nice. We went home, we ordered a massive takeaway, didn't we? We had pizza, of course. And then the next day we got some breakfast at the theatre, which I'm sure Alfie will talk about after this because he hasn't mentioned the cafe, which is really alarming.
How have I not done that?
And then Dolly and I went for a walk and we hung out and we watched some telly and all of that stuff. And then we had to go. So it was a very fleeting visit, but lovely. And just to be able to like spend time together, the three of us. And, you know, we try to do that as much as possible. Like, we don't want to miss out on spending time together. And, you know, once I'm back at work, we won't be able to see each other as much because I don't expect Alfie to not have a day off and come home and travel more than is necessary. And also I can't do that. So we're trying to be respectful of each other's time and each other's health and each other's sleep and commitments and all that. So it was really nice to make the most of having a couple of days to be able to come and see you in Leicester.
Well, thank you so much for coming. I loved it. Very nice. Swiftly onto the cafe. The cafe at Leicester Curve, and I should have mentioned this, is just iconic. I have had carrot cake this week, which was probably some of the nicest carrot cake I've ever had. Just pure like cream cheese on the top. Unreal. I've had, what have I had? I've had chips. I've had lasagna. I've had pasta bake.
I had the veggie lasagna. It was really nice.
I've seen people have fish and chips. I've seen jacket potatoes.
We basically only ate at the cafe because it's also like £3 for a meal if you work there.
Yes, so they have a daily special, which is £3.50, and that changes. It's fabulous. It's fabulous, baby. If you go to Leicester Curve as an actor to work there or to watch something, go to the cafe. You'll enjoy it. And if you're listening, you're doing a fantastic job. You really elevated the experience for me.
Because Alfie's life revolves around food.
Everyone's life revolves around food, otherwise we'd all die.
Yeah, I mean, that was really cheerful. Thank you for that, Alf.
on a morbid end. But look, if I was living in Leicester, I'd go to that cafe regardless if I work at the theatre or not. Top quality munch.
Blimey.
Well, I think that's about it for this week's episode.
What a way to end.
Not this week, next week, you can be lucky. Well, I think that's about it for this week's episode. Next week, you can be lucky to catch me in Dublin for a 2-week stay. Whoa. You'll start then, won't you?
So I'm home for 1 week of Dublin, and then I start rehearsals during your 2nd week in Dublin.
Well, there you go. And then also, during Dublin, we're going to be playing Traitors backstage at the theatre, which, if you don't know, is a bit like Mafia, if you've heard of that. Basically, there's going to be a lot of kind of voting each other out and did you murder me and did you do this? And so that'll be good. So I'll keep you posted on that as well. Anyway, you can find us on the social medias at 80 Plays Podcast. That's one word with the number 80 Plays Podcast. Hit us up.
And stop adding bits in. It's my bit now. And did you know that you can purchase our theme song, Blue Sky, by Australian band Walken? Yep, you can help support our show and own the full track, all thanks to Drew and the boys of Walken. So thank you to them because we're truly grateful for the support. So if you go to www.thetonistantales.com/bookstore, how was that, Alf?
Oh, yeah. Look, I can smash that now. I learned it.
Looking forward to you doing that on the next one. Right at the very top, you'll see our logo where you can buy your own MP3 of Blue Sky, which will help us fund this epic adventure across the UK and Ireland. Plus, we can buy Dolly some treats along the way. And shout out to Drew, who has been listening every week. Love you, Drew.
Thanks, Drew. Love you, Toniston Tales. And Walken, sorry, I should say. And if you have any questions, suggestions, or comments, you can email us at 80playspodcast@gmail.com. That's one word, 80playspodcast@gmail.com. 80 again. And now,
do you know what show this is from? It's one I know very well.
Sound of Music.
Are you having a laugh?
You sign us out then. You sign us out.
No. I want you to tell me what show that is from.
Hairspray.
Correct. It's from Mama, I'm a Big Girl Now.
Of course I know. Like of course I know. And now I'm just like a gidget.
No, not like a Gidget. Gidget was a person.
What is the tune for this bit?
And now I'm just like Gidget and I gotta get to Rome. So say arrivederci, toodaloo, and ciao. Cause Mama, I'm a big girl now.
Right. And now I'm just like Gidget and I gotta get to Rome. So say arrivederci, toodaloo, and ciao.
Cause Alfie, you're a big girl now.
Big girl now. Thanks, guys. Is that a good ending?
Yeah, it's beautiful.